relationships aren't always purely about physical attraction. I mean, physical is certainly part of it, but I think that, you know, the kind of power elements are also quite erotic.
It was almost instantaneous that the John and George thing happened.
I mean, everybody knew it was going on, but it was also, they did keep it very private, and that was fine, you know. I didn't really want to go there.
Boy George and drummer John Moss formed the creative core of Culture Club, but the relationship was far more than musical. Even though John told George he had never dated a man before, the two quickly became lovers.
Life will never be the same as it was again.
Thank you, America. You've got taste, style, and you know a good drag queen when you see one.
I have to admit, it was bloody funny. You know, I mean, it was pretty ballsy of the guy.
It was a willful statement because I was just tired of hiding, tired of covering it up. But I was relieved and I was glad. You know, I kind of enjoyed it.
You turn around on me because I'm better than the rest of the men.
The closer George came to telling the world he was gay, the farther away John drifted.
I don't know what John's trip was sexually. I don't really know.
Today, the subject of their relationship is something John is reluctant to talk about.
I think George feels that John wasn't always open and honest, and used to try and control him through sexual behaviour.
As the relationship disintegrated, so did Culture Club. They recorded their third album in just 6 weeks. The band admits today the record was a hurried and half-hearted effort.
We started listening to record companies, you know, we need to get a new record out there, and we were like, we don't really want to do one. You know, like, you've got to get out there. The other side of that is, of course, that we all knew that that George was a time bomb, just waiting to explode, really, because he was just, there was too much energy there. He had that, as creative as he was, there was the destructive side to George.
George was only 24 and was richer and more famous than he had ever dreamed. But his lover was slipping away. Miserable, George turned to drugs.
Drugs are always a substitute for what you're not getting in life. You know, they're an escape. Drugs are about cutting off.
George is quite an extreme guy. It didn't surprise me that he went from tea to heroin.
By 1985, Boy George's affair with drummer John Moss was on the rocks. Their love had soured, and it was taking a heavy toll on Culture Club.
I mean, it was never great. It was never perfect. But when I realised that there was no saving it, you know, that's when I lost total interest in Culture Club. Didn't mean anything to me. So it was never the money. You know, it was about John. It was about being in love with him. And when I realised that that was dying, Culture Club just had no interest to me whatsoever. I just thought, balls to it, basically, you know, let it go.
With John fading from his life, George quickly became consumed by a new passion, heroin. He turned to Culture Club guitar player Roy Hay for help.
He went through a really intense detoxification from heroin in my house, because we thought it would be a safe environment for him. And that's very intense to see somebody you care about going through that. You know, it was beyond the band then. It was just, this is a friend of mine who's having a rough time. Well, as far as I know, he smoked a joint one day, and 3 months later he was shooting up, you know? I mean, it was literally, don't you do marijuana, that'll lead to other things. And it did at an incredibly accelerated rate. I mean, there was no... Most people go through a long drinking and drug career before they reach the levels that George got to.